So here we are at day 2 of the yo-yo set. The first evening when I got them set, they were probably out maybe 45 minutes max. I was losing daylight pretty quick, but it was prime feeding time, so I did want to get the lines wet before the evening. When I was done, I ended up retrieving all the lines, and then today about 5 o'clock, I came out, rebaited all the hooks, made a modification to the line, which I'll show you in a minute, and then casted everything out again in about the same location. It's about 7:30 now. I came out to check the yo-yos one more time before evening, and I could see that I've got a fish on this setup right here. As I was coming up to the trap set, I could see that my swivel was drawn up, which means that it actually got set off and drug it in. The other two, I see white mason line coming off, so that's an indicator to me that nothing is pulled on that line, so it hasn't been retrieved. That doesn't mean a fish isn't on there by some miracle. The fish couldn't have pulled it, or I had a malfunction with the reel itself, which wouldn't let it actually retrieve the spare line. But I'm assuming I have no fish on here, and I definitely have a fish on here. It looks like, oh, it's a medium-sized bass. Plenty for one person to eat for a dinner. And this is with 3 sets, and it's been out maybe less than 3 hours total. So that's pretty good odds. I'll take that. One thing about this set that did work, this was, of the 3 I made, this was my least favorite. This one I had the least distance out, because I've got the reel attached to the intersection of the line instead of being out on a longer, one longer pole like I do in the other ones. I like that setup better. This one worked because of location. That's it. Just like setting any type of traps, you set on sign, or set where your intended catch is. If I was out here just fishing for the day, this would be a pretty good spot. It's fairly open for this pond. I've got a good chance of casting. I can see it's not as heavily weeded. I set the other 2 lines up because I like the spot. It's a nice scenic spot. I thought it would look good on camera. I thought I'd catch a fish there no matter what. So realistically, I would rebait, give this another day at the exact same location, and then if that didn't work, then I would just leave this one here because it's already proven, and then start bouncing the other yo-yo sets around till I got all 3 where they were, at least hitting every other day. When a certain spot dried up, I would just move it. That's one of the advantages to not just hanging a yo-yo on a limb, which is a real commonly seen setup. You're only going to fish where that limb is. That's it. Using this tripod method in open area like this, where I don't have a limb to use, it gives me versatility about where I'm not just fishing one spot. Lets me move it all over. Alright, I'm going to switch the camera around. I'll give you a shot of the yo-yo in action. It's actually set up like this. I've got plenty of play on it. I actually startled the fish and it took off, and it took off line on the yo-yo when I first got here. So this setup is working perfectly. Okay, here's a shot of the yo-yo in action. Down just over the water's edge, I actually made floats. I wasn't happy the way the line was sitting, so I carved some wooden floats. I'll show you how I did that real quick. Right there it is. That seemed to work out real well. It also added weight to the line, which let me cast it out a little easier. So he's happy in the weeds right now. Okay, he's not happy. Okay, looks like it's about a 10-inch bass, about a 9-10-inch bass. When you're fishing unattended like this, the fish do have a tendency to swallow the hook. I was able to get that one out okay, but as a rule, catch and release is a little harder. I think I'm actually going to let this guy go. He still needs some growing to do. Completely edible fish. This would be perfect in a frying pan. But for right now, we'll catch him again. Alright, here's the modification I did make. This is about 18 inches here, so I'm fishing about 18 inches off the bottom. I just took a branch and I actually cut a disc. It's maybe 1/4 inch thick, maybe a 1/2 inch in diameter, and I'll show you how I attached it. It's pretty easy to take on and off when I'm packing my lines up. Also pretty easy to adjust my height if I want to fish different heights. Alright, so here it is. Basically, like I said, I took about a 1/2 inch diameter stick, cut about 1/4 3/8 wide disc, and took my awl out of my Swiss Army knife and actually bored a hole clean through. Now I take the depth I want, which say for instance is right here right now, so I'm just going to double the monofilament over, take the loop, push it through. Okay, so I have a loop going through right now. Then I'm going to take the hook, take the free end, go through the loop, and cinch it down. Now that's not going anywhere. That's going to stay at whatever height I set it, within reason, under tension especially. There we go. So this is going to hold the height that I want. If I want to slip it up and down, I just take tension off the line, and I'm able to do that. If I get it where it's a solid depth and I don't want to lose it for next time, I can throw another 1/2 inch in the line. And another added benefit to this weight is it helps me cast the line out. So right now I've got about the full amount of line I can get off the yo-yo. And now with this added weight of my float, I'm able to cast it out full length. And one thing I discovered yesterday, just took a stick. This one just has a natural branch growing. Rather than cut it flush, I gave myself a little shepherd's hook. And then I can service my lines with the hook. Again, this keeps me dry. One thing I may try for next time is I may actually try to not use as long a monofilament leader. With a bass that size, I'm not going to be able to lift it out of the water, but I'm betting if I catch a smaller bluegill, that thing should lift it all the way up out of the water. There is quite a bit of tension on these yo-yos. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, they don't take much weight. It's versatile, the fact that you can use it for a spring snare, use it as an engine for your spring snare. I can use it for fishing like I did. There's a couple different options to achieve the same effect, and I'm going to go over that in future videos. But I would definitely say the yo-yo is a success. I would say the tripod system is a success. I suppose if I was to get into one of the bigger catfish or a turtle, that would be the true test of the tripod system like it is. They're heavy anyway. I suppose it could probably start to drag it. Just a real quick fix would be to drive a stake into the ground by the back pole and lash it down real quick. Then it's not going anywhere. I was reeling this one in, just checking, pulling my lines, making sure I had bait, and I actually had another small bass on here. This one's probably about 6 inches long. The yo-yo was not tripped, so either the yo-yo failed, but what in my opinion is, this is especially weedy right here, and I had a combination of a small fish with intense weeds, and I actually had trouble pulling the fish in. So the fish was probably unable to pull the line the other way also. That just goes to show you, you've got to check any kind of set that you've made daily. You know, from the trot line video, you've seen that I've got predators out here. I've got, you know, there's mink, I've got turtles, you know, other bass. If this was something I was counting on eating and I was doing backflips because I just caught a bass, I actually had 2 bass. So this is tomorrow's breakfast. Or, you know, this is something I could smoke and possibly put it back for when the fishing dries up. So here's another added benefit to the tripod, is I can actually adjust it. One more time. And bring the fish in. See, the weeds are just intense. Here's my float. See, it did hold in position. You know, we're looking at about 2 feet, which is pretty optimistic in this water. Okay, so that's about as long as my hand. Nice little bass. Another added benefit of the offset tripod like I'm using, you saw how I was able to scoot the legs up and basically bring that fish in where I could retrieve it easier. The long stick worked fine for bare line, but when I had a fish on, it was a lot easier just to make an adjustment here. And this is fish number 2. You know, decent sized fish, hand sized bass. That's good eating. I'll get him back in the water and we'll catch him again. This is another proven concept that I've adapted to my area. I have experience with. I know how to make it work for me now. I'm really happy with this. So I've got 3 hooks out and I bring in 2 fish in 3 hours. This is another aspect of self-reliance, that I'm able to cherry pick my spots and add a line here, a line there, as opposed to a long 100-foot trot line. The yo-yos don't weigh much. There are other options that do a similar concept, and we're going to experiment with those in a future video. Once again, please subscribe, please click like, and leave me a comment in the comment box. Thanks a lot. See you next time.